Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's show on the Gamut Network. I purposely put this hat on because I know my guest today would appreciate it because he is so styling and high fashion that I felt like I had to keep up. So with that, I would love to introduce today's guest. Please welcome Sharif to the show. Hi, Sharif.
How are you? How are you guys?
I'm so excited to have you on the show today. It's definitely been a joy of my journey to get to know you over the past couple of years. And I'm excited for our audience, our viewers to learn about you and your story. So Reef, can you tell us about your journey?
Absolutely. My story started when I was young. When I was 4 years old, back in 1996, I was in a tragic accident involving an escalator, where just a random day, it was me, my mom, one of my brothers. We were heading off of the train, and we were going up an escalator, and out of nowhere, the escalator step collapsed. And what happened was my right foot was then stuck in like the teeth of the escalator, and it basically ripped off my entire right foot.
Oh my God.
Causing the doctors to have to amputate my right foot. Again, it was very traumatic for my mom, my parents, my siblings. It happened out of nowhere. The ambulance and everything came, right in time. So, my life was saved, thank God.
Thank
God. They couldn't save my foot, so it had to be amputated. And that was, like I said, when I was 4 years old. And, that kind of changed the trajectory of my life. It kind of, had to, it put me in a place where, I had to, go a certain way and had to learn things at an earlier age that I don't think a lot of people at that age, had to kind of go through. But it was definitely a surreal experience. And so what happened was at that age, I was put on a lot of medicine. So I don't really remember too much in memory. But
and just to remind the audience, you were 4?
I was 4 years old. Yes.
4 years old. Holy cow.
I'm pretty sure I was still, kind of getting into the groove of walking and, and learning who I was. So, like I said, I was put on a lot of different medicines, things like that, to, stop the pain and things like that. I believe the first year I wasn't given like a prosthesis. I'm pretty sure healing and stuff had to be, done before, I could get fitted and stuff for a prosthesis. But once I got my prosthetic, I was able to move around again. I had physical therapy for several years. And again, I was probably 5, going around 6 at this time. And again, still in my mind space, I still, didn't really know exactly what was going on. I was still young.
Extremely young. And just for everybody's visual, it's from the knee down or above the knee?
So it is, my prosthesis is from the knee down.
Okay.
My amputee is called a signs, meaning that I just lost my foot. So I still have my entire leg. So it's almost like your arm and your hand, just take your hand away.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for educating us.
So so I still have my leg, and my foot just had to be removed.
Got it.
But in the prosthesis world, you have to have an entire prosthetic leg in order to for you to walk again. So that was the beginning of my new life, I guess. And
in second, right? Just a typical day.
Typical day.
With your family, and then
actually, to be more specific, it was the day before Thanksgiving. So so it was even more tragic. Again, it happened out of the blue, and it literally framed a whole different way that me and my family had to go about life. And of course, because it was an escalator, and the escalator, after doing some investigation, some research, the escalator company, SEPTA, which is a transportation company in Philadelphia.
Yes. Which is where I'm from, by the way.
Yes. The escalator was actually faulty, so it wasn't like I was messing around on the escalator. And there was a lot of talk back when I was young. Oh, maybe his shoe was untied or his mom wasn't paying attention. But lo and behold, that wasn't the case. SEPTA actually tried to hide evidence proving that that their escalators were not being serviced on time and things like that. So there was a big trial, a big court case that went on for about 3-4 years. It did settle when I was 7 years old. But like I said, it wound up being that the excavator that I was on that day was faulty, and the reason that my foot got stuck in the machine because it did collapse, and I just happened to be the one.
I want to go back to one thing that you said. I want to go back to one thing that you said because I think it's really important for everybody to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You highlighted that it was a change for you and your family.
Absolutely.
Because that's so important in the world of somebody with a disability. Yes. Is that it doesn't just affect you; it affects your whole family and everybody that not only was physically there, but your family unit probably shifted in something that happened to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. In a physical way and in a mental way. Yeah. After the case, like I said, which went around 3 years, me and my family, my immediate family, we left, we went and moved to New Jersey. So again, there was a physical move, after all of this, and I have a lot of family. Half my family is still in Philadelphia, so a lot of changes were done after the settlement was done. Just to give me a new start, a better life, and things like that with education, with schooling, and things like that. So that's why we kind of made that change over to New Jersey. But mentally, I can only know from what I talked to my mom about, but I can really only imagine the experience of her actually being there, watching her youngest son, go through something like that. Again, it's very traumatic. It's something that doesn't just last during the incident. It lasts for a lifetime.
Exactly.
And physical things, even like my accident, how it made a physical mark on my life forever. I think humans are able to kind of recover a little bit quicker physically, but mentally is a little bit different. It kind of stays with you, and it kind of creates this kind of mindset where you're kind of always afraid and you're not certain with the things that you can do, when physically you probably can do them, but mentally it's really hard to kind of overcome and get back to the right mindset. So that was really
Absolutely.
hard.
So take us to the mental side of this, because I think that's also really important to uncover and unpack a bit.
Yes.
Especially at the age that you were, which is such formidable time in the natural development of a child.
Yes.
How did that affect the path of your life in terms of how you felt about yourself, how you felt about how you looked? Did it affect how you were in, let's say, middle school, when a typical kid middle school is really challenging? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Absolutely. Great question. So definitely from mid-elementary all the way to middle school was very challenging. Like I said, my accident happened when I was 4 years old, so I was still developing, still young. But the time I got to middle school, I'm kind of more very much coherent. I understand. I'm able to look at someone and see the difference at this point. There's now sports being involved, friendships being made, and I found myself kind of being left out. But it was definitely challenging because it was me kind of putting myself aside from them. I didn't want to deal with the attention of the stares, or even if no one's staring, but someone just asks a question. I didn't know how to respond to them yet. So in order to not have to respond, I put myself in a different side, so I wouldn't have to basically interact.
So you avoided.
I avoided
completely. You avoided certain situations that you didn't want to have to figure out.
If it was avoidable, Sharif was avoiding it.
Yeah.
Because again, my mental space just wasn't there yet to be attacked with the questions and the stares in order for me to basically answer it in a proper way. I probably would have shut down or got nervous, or just sort of ran off. So I really didn't want to basically indulge in those kind of conversations at that point in my life. Every day I would go home and I was more comfortable around my family. I was with them all my life. It kind of felt like a safe haven to me. I would take my leg off there. That's basically where I felt comfortable at. So I wasn't really too shy around them. But whenever it was time to go to a store or a mall or if it's a summer day and, and there's friends outside, I'm most likely in sweatpants.
Mm.
Because I was still active as a kid. I was really still active as a kid. So mentally, I was really strong with, not allowing my physical handicap to disenable me to do things. But again, if it was something where I was in shorts or it was a bunch of people that I didn't know, I wouldn't do it. But it wasn't physically. I was really physically talented, at a young age, and I didn't allow my prosthetic to stop me from running or riding a bike. It took longer, to learn these things, but it was really a mental hurdle that I just didn't want to participate and, find myself talking about a situation that I still was kind of in the development phase. I knew more about it when I was younger, but, I was now aware that I am very different than most people that I see, and I wasn't, able to like accept it yet.
I have a question on that. Do you think that, I don't want to jump forward because I want the audience to hear how you have now evolved to where you are today, but do you think that at that moment when you, in your elementary school, middle school years, if you had seen somebody on television or in movies or in an ad campaign that had a prosthetic leg on a regular, that it just, do you think that would have changed how you felt about being different if you got to see a little bit more in pop culture, somebody that looked like you?
So I'm going to be truthful. I'm not going to give an answer just to make it sound good.
Yeah, thank you.
But the absolute fact is yes. And it's yes, not just for me, but, just for humans in general. We are we are people who like to relate to things. And the fact is that when we can relate, we connect, we understand. If it's relatable, you'll try it out. And when it's something that it seems that is just you don't think it's possible. A lot of people don't want to really lead. They usually. Yes.
I'm curious to know when the pivot came in. When did the change happen that you viewed yourself completely differently to the point that you are actually building a business around it that I'm excited to talk about?
Yes. So that significant moment definitely happened late high school years. Even still in high school, it was challenging. The older I got, the more understanding of what I am and who I am. It was more, like understanding that this is who I am. I can't change it. But again, it doesn't matter. Even when you realize what you are, if you don't seem that you're able to kind of accept it, it's, you're still going to allow it to kind of, judge what you do every day. So even in high school, I was, more kind of comfortable around like certain maybe local friends that I had around my neighborhood, but I still, during gym class, stuff like that, I'm wearing sweatpants. I wasn't really wearing shorts, during school, but definitely, I was more active. I was getting more comfortable. I was able to kind of have more conversations about my prosthetic, as long as I'm not showing it.
Right.
Which definitely was something I want to definitely say is that as I got older, I was able to talk about it more, but I still wasn't able to like, kind of wear shorts and show it off and like walk into a room and feel comfortable doing that.
Right.
So not until probably around like end of junior year, senior year is when I kind of started to feel like, okay, well, I find myself wanting to do sports. Like I want to actually, participate in certain high school sports, things like that. And the only way to do these things, most likely my leg is going to have to be shown. So I had to kind of break out of this kind of shell of me not wanting to do things in front of an audience that I'm not used to. And the way I kind of, I guess, taught myself and kind of, prepared myself for that is I thought about things that I couldn't do when I was younger, but now I do them. For example, when I first started riding a bike, I used to fall off. I never thought it was possible. I used to tell my mom that, listen, maybe it's just not for me. I don't have the right feeling that I think you need in your foot. And, I don't really have one. So I didn't think it was possible. She kept telling me, get up, keep trying. And, and it probably, like I said, took maybe, a month or two more than the average person, but I became a very good bike rider. I was doing it without my leg at a certain point. To stand up on the actual seat of the bike, things like that. And
Oh wow!
The older I got, the, I guess, more obstacles that I passed that I didn't think was passable, I started to basically take that same principle and apply it to, other things. So when I got to the point where, okay, I want to play sports, I may not be ready to, accept the kind of eyes looking at me, then that means I'm not going to be able to do the sport that I want to do. Same as riding a bike. If I stop doing it, I won't be able to do it.
Right.
So, the only way to do it is to basically do it, embrace it, get used to it. And that's kind of, the kind of mindset that I started to build at that high school age. And after that, is when, I really kind of started feeling much more comfortable. Towards the end of my high school year, end of senior year, that's when I started wearing shorts and stuff like that.
Mm. So, Reef, I know that fashion is very important to you, but can you take us back to when did that start becoming important, and why do you think it did?
Fashion is very important to me. It's something that I believe that clothing, fashion is a direct correlation to how we feel every day. It's a direct correlation to our confidence level. Depending on how we look and how we feel, and what we look, our attitude will show. So fashion is definitely a big thing. It definitely played a big role in my life in the later years, again, because I was still trying to build up the confidence to even wear certain clothing because I was kind of limited to such. But definitely, like I said, towards my last years of high school, I started to feel more comfortable around people. And it wasn't just random people. It was, even certain, like family members who I didn't see all the time. If I wasn't going home to you every day, most likely I wasn't showing you, a side of me that was, really kind of vulnerable for me. Because, again, I didn't want to open myself to those kind of questions and the stares. So, again, I would try to shy away from it as much as I can. But being into fashion, it really kind of, made me kind of feel, happy. Even though I was hiding my prosthetic, I still knew that it was something in life that I was doing that people were complimenting me on.
Absolutely.
But
it correlated to your self-esteem.
It did.
I would imagine when you wore something that you absolutely love, like that fabulous shirt, it definitely exudes out, and it gives you, a sense of, here I am, world. This is me.
It does, and that's why clothes are bigger than just the material that you're wearing. Again, we get dressed differently for every type of occasion for a reason. Because
Exactly. So now you are experiencing getting involved in fashion and how that's making you feel. One thing I want to really kind of spend some time on, because I find it so interesting about your story, is then suddenly your prosthetic became something important in your fashion style, whereas years before it was something that you hid. Now, not only did you not want to hide it, but you wanted to promote it. Tell us about that.
Correct. And that's the amazing part about life is that, you go through all these different obstacles thinking that you won't need certain things that you try to drop along the way, but then you find yourself coming back and picking them up because you didn't need them. Just when you needed them, you didn't think, well, when you needed them, it wasn't until, the time was to come. The time didn't come yet. So, so at the point, where I thought, my leg was never going to do anything for me, why would God give me this, this tool? It didn't make sense to me when I was younger. But the older I got, the more I started to become more indulged into fashion. I found myself being, well, hey, look, I have a canvas that, that I have to use every day. I can't get away from it, and if I'm so fashionably inclined, how can I turn something that I've been looking down at for so long into something that's an upward accessory, something that, can not only lift my self-esteem, but when someone is staring at it, because it's going to make someone stare as abnormal, how can they wow, that looks awesome, instead of, why are you not doing a certain activity because you have that, when I know I physically can do it. So, I kind of wanted to come up with something where, I wasn't still kind of, watching. I wanted to actually be playing in a game. And that's kind of where, I said, I'm going to start putting designs on my prosthetic. And, and I wanted to make it be a part of my outfit. If I'm wearing shorts now, and I have something to show, at least it's going to be shown in the best form possible, because I have the choice to do that. So that's when I started to get my prosthetic airbrushed. And I went to a shop that I found online. And when I first met the guy who did the project, he was, I mean, just so surprised, when he found out exactly what he was going to be doing. He was very known in his area. He did a lot of cars, motorcycles, very custom design. So he wasn't, like unknown for like doing airbrush, but he was so surprised when I told him that, hey, listen, this particular design is going to be on a prosthetic leg. So he was very excited. He was inspired. He knew all about my story after I told him, and he was just really excited to jump on it. And it came out beautifully. It came out really cool. And the design was a phoenix, which was raising from the ashes, which was very symbolic to me. Story that coming from such a low place in my mind and getting to a point where now I'm able to kind of showcase what I have and not try to hide it. Kind of is what the phoenix kind of represents. It represents strength and and fierceness. So that's kind of was the first design that I put on my prosthetic. So just in case someone happens to see it when I'm wearing shorts, if they ask me about it, I can tie it all together like that. So
I love it.
That's
so suddenly you were flaunting it, and I think that if I remember what was, which goes to you being so into fashion, that you can't just have one design, you can't just have one hat or one shirt. You like the idea of changing it. And so how did you start realizing that you could change the look of it?
Awesome question. So again, my first time I started doing designs with airbrush, a form of paint. And again, it was awesome. I had my idea finally revealed. I had an idea of doing a design on my prosthetic, and it got done. So that was awesome. But of course, I became addicted. I was into fashion, so I wanted to keep changing it. So I would be calling the airbrush guy every other week, saying, "Hey man, can you squeeze me to get another design done?" And he definitely fit me when it was possible. But at the same time, airbrushing can be something that's done only a couple times on the same canvas. It's paint, so the designs are very limited to certain things. My, prosthetic is very small, so you can't keep repainting, without leaving certain marks. So I kind of, just had to do what I had to do with it. Until about a year or two into doing designs, at this point, I was probably around like 24, 25-ish. I was really big into the car industry. I met a lot of friends that I have currently do cars, and from customizing them to, just doing certain car meets, car shows, so I knew a lot of people in the car industry from just being around that area. So I met a vinyl guy, and a vinyl is basically a particular material that's used on a bunch of cars and ambulances, police cars, and billboards, to basically advertise and market for companies. And one time I was talking to the owner of this company, and I was like, look, man, I would love to really try to do a vinyl type of design for my prosthetic. I don't really know how it's going to fit. I don't know if it's going to even stick because, the vinyl only sticks to certain materials. And I was kind of skeptical because I move around a lot. I'm very athletic. I do a lot of things. So paint, it dries, it sticks. If I'm still at the gym being active, it doesn't just come off. It doesn't peel off. But
so the functionality of it needed to work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And vinyl, its functionality is to be able to be used, look awesomely, but at the same time, when it wants to be removed, it's removable. And which is awesome. But at the same time, I had to think about the opposite end. If I'm still being active and at the gym and I'm rubbing against things, can it last? So that was the test. So we tried it out. Simple design, just a simple color, and it worked. It really worked. Definitely took us a while to perfect it, but the idea worked. The idea of using another method other than airbrushing worked on the prostheses. So probably the next design after that, we got even more intricate. We decided to actually put in printing design inside the actual vinyl itself, where the design was more of like a water and fire design, where it's playing off the the symbolism again, evening out each other.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first real vinyl designs that I had on my prosthetic. And the more and more we started to do them, it started to become much cleaner and sharper. And we found out that vinyl is a very great product to stick on any type of prosthesis when done right. And not only is it something that that anyone with a prosthesis can do, again, it's something that allows them to be able to create in any kind of fashion that they want. You know, it's not limited to just doing like one color or one face, anything that you have in mind. It starts on the computer, it gets added to the color, gets printed out, and gets put right onto your prosthesis. So that was awesome because it wasn't limiting me to things that paint kind of was.
Yeah.
So,
and you could also be using it as an advertising platform, right?
Exactly.
Which I think is something that that was your brainchild, that here, you know, I know that you are very into modeling and have had some great success. We have been able to use you in a lot of big campaigns with major brands like Tommy Hilfiger and Zappos, and now you have an extra asset that you could be offering to brands as a platform to advertise, which is so brilliant. Tell us about that.
Fantastic. I mean, it's amazing how everything just comes full circle. Again, back from when I was young, you know, going through something that, again, I didn't think that I could really overcome. I knew I was going to, you know, be okay. I was going to be alive, but, you know, I didn't expect to accomplish anything, you know, with my prosthetic being a highlight. And then, you know, getting into fashion. You know, all these different steps of me liking fashion, getting over and being more confident, doing designs on my prosthetic, you know, these are all separate times. You know, there's not a big plan to, you know, become a model. You know, it all just work this way out. So, you know, that's the amazing part, you know, with the world. You know,
I think it's fate. I think it was your fate.
It was, you know, and you know, and that's why, you know, I always, you know, thank the creator from above, and I'm just blessed. And so to be back to your point, my prosthetic was honestly first created by me for just a personal thing. I wanted to just, you know, have designs on my leg, since it's going to be shown, to match my outfits. You know, there was never the thought of modeling until I was around like 26-ish. And at that point, very much into fashion. I was very much confident in myself at this point. And my friends said, hey, you know, I think you should try modeling. I'm like, you know, I don't really know. I know I'm very much fashionably inclined, and I know what you're saying, but modeling is a different spectrum. I don't think I can do that. You know, I don't even take pictures. So I was like, I don't really know. But then, as always, I went back to the main principle that helped me get through a lot of things that I didn't do before, which was, you know, understanding that if I don't do it, it'll never get done. If I do it, you know, there's a possibility that it will get done. You know, so you never know until you try something. That's something that everyone has to understand. You know, the fact is that, you know, 50% is better than 0%. And if you don't do anything at all,
absolutely,
there's no percent. It's going to be a 0. So, you know, I kept that same kind of mentality. So everything that I wanted to do, even though I didn't think if I had no kind of experience in it, I would try it and see where it landed.
Amazing. So and look where it got you.
That's kind of what I did when my friends mentioned modeling to me. They said, you know, you have the facial structure. I think you should really give it a try. So I went out, bought a camera. One of my best friends, he's really big into the photography and things like that. So we spent about a month, 2 months on that, and found out that I was pretty much a natural, you know, without you know, too much effort. You know, and then, you know, of course, you start, you know, really honing down your skills and stuff like that once you really start really being defined in your particular market. So I did start to learn really cool tricks with it, but the first month and a half to 2 months, you know, I was just really naturally, you know, photogenic. So that was really, really awesome. And then after about 2 months, you know, I decided I'm going to really pursue it, you know, wholeheartedly. I mean, fashion is something that, you know, is a very big passion of mine, because again, it really shows a lot more than just the clothes itself. What is the person trying to represent who's wearing the clothes? You know, what does it mean? What does it mean for the brand? You know, does it go deeper than the surface of the actual, you know, clothing itself? And that's kind of why I really felt the need that I don't want to just model because I think I look good looking, or I think I look great in clothes. What can I really bring to the table? You know, and I think the first word that comes to me is inclusion. You know, to really have people understand that people of all types of sizes, skin colors, you know, uniquenesses can all be, you know, working as one, and not in a separate type of field.
Right.
True inclusion. You know, we're working all together.
And I think you're really rebranding who a model is, or what the definition of a model is. And that is something that, you know, globally we have to really relook at, and certainly something that, you know, we're trying to work on through Gamut Management. But before we have to end, I want to get to two more important things. The first is that Philadelphia Inquirer wrote a big article about you, which is so exciting, about your journey, about who you are, and somebody from your past experience has now reached out to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I just recently, like you just said, an article was published, and it was absolutely fantastic. It definitely was something, you know, again, that was really surreal to me, to be back into, you know, like the news type of category for, you know, for something that happened to me at such a young age that, again, that was kind of like my downfall per se, and to be kind of, you know, remembered by all that, but then to come back, you know, with something of a positive note, that's something
Very
that
positive, very powerful.
Completely took and turned around. You know, the cards that I was dealt was like, oh no, he's going to lose, and look what I've done with it. You know, so I was really just grateful, and you know, I appreciate, you know, everything that, you know, that the reporters and everything that the Inquiry did to make it happen, you know, for it to be published. So I'm just grateful for that. And then, like you said before, so the officer, I guess, who was on the scene when my accident actually happened back in 1996, he happened to see this new article. And there's going to be another story. There's going to be a phone call. And, you know, I'm just very excited about that. You know, again, I was younger, so, you know, I don't really know him per se. I'm just grateful that, you know, that he's still alive, and that, you know, that the whole thing is being set up, and I'm pretty sure the conversation will be amazing, and you know, and just, you know, really heartwarming and heartfelt. And you know, I definitely want to tell him, you know, thank you amongst, you know, everyone else, you know, who was you know, a part of all of this. And
absolutely,
it means a lot.
I can't wait to see what happens with that, because he's going to be so amazed at who you've become, and what you have done with your life is so wonderful to see. Now, Reef, I'm sure after hearing all the amazing things that you're working on, people are going to want to contact you and see the different creations that you made. What is the best way for them to do that?
Best way, a couple different ways. So Instagram, you can follow me at Reef, REEF _Hall, HALL. I also am active on Facebook, which is Reefy, REEFY, Hall, HALL. And I also have an online modeling for different companies that I've worked with. Several videos that me and my photographer and videographer have, you know, done multiple projects. They're all on there. And that site is called Reef, REEF Hall.com. And you'll also even find a link on there that actually takes you to my prosthetic art video. And just to touch base on that for a second, prosthetic art is the name of my marketing strategy.
Perfect.
The strategy in which, you know, that I created to basically be an advertisement, a billboard, that I apply designs on a prosthetic, you know, in a walking format.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very interested in that, and you're really going to change the whole way prosthetics are viewed.
Yes.
So before we go, I'd like to ask all of my guests one final question, as I'm a very big believer in manifesting things I want to have in my life, or things I believe in. And so I have a vision board that I put people I want to meet, or situations I want to be in, or things I want to start. This was one of them on my vision board. What would be on your vision board?
So the first thing, the people that I want to meet, it's some people in the modeling industry, you know, specifically that I truly love, you know, who inspired me to do what I'm doing, inspired me to, you know, get up every day and get it done, you know, and understand that this is just the beginning of my journey. And those two would be definitely, one is Winnie Harlow, and the second would be Ashley Graham. You know, these are two amazing women. They're both models, and you know, they all set their pace in what they are doing, and you know, they you know, made a mark, and that mark is not just for people in their specific category. It's for everyone who is unique and has a difference, to show that, you know, that there is there's space for you. And the moment that you yourself opens up that space, you're going to have a lot of people follow it. And you know, people love to be people love to relate. And, and when you finally get to a certain point where you're able to show something that someone has never seen on television, a person who has the same thing wants to try it out. And I really, love them for what they have done. And like I said, they're trailblazers.
Pioneers.
They're trailblazers, and I truly want to just, follow within their footsteps. And I hope to, really sit down and meet with them and have an awesome conversation one day.
I think you will.
And looking forward to what I want to do and become, I really want to be a global influencer. And it's not to be a model, but to be a role model.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to represent more than just clothing and, again, just looking nice, but to really get to the core of what I'm trying to basically advertise. Marketing is such a big word. And again, it doesn't just have to be marketing a brand. It's the values of the brand and the value of the person who is, marketing for you. I think people are going to invest in stuff like that. And, and allowing a company's logo or name to be on a prosthetic, something that is worn every day, is different than it being on a shirt or a pair of pants. Something, that is deeper than that. Again, it shows inclusion, and at the same time, it shows strength. It shows understanding. It shows something that is looked at as down can be used as an accessory. And it puts a spotlight on something that usually doesn't get the spotlight at all. So that's.
I have no doubt you're going to accomplish all of that. And yes. It was it's always so wonderful to talk to you. And I could hear that story a million times because I think it's so important for our viewers to see how you took something and made it into something amazing. Yes. And something that you're proud of and that you want to show other people that they can feel that way about their prosthetics as well. So Absolutely. Thank you again so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please go and subscribe to the Gamut Network on YouTube, and please like our channels at Gamut Management on all social media platforms. We will post all the links and places to get in touch with Reef so that everybody can see the amazing work that is done. Please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com and tell us a little bit about why you would be a great guest on our show.